How are you? Oh,
She's muted.
yes, Joy, I think you're muted, my friend.
Okay, unmuted. How's that?
That's much better. Hello, welcome.
Great. I'm great. I just did a whole watch party for the debates. I've got about 15 minutes. I got to get to sleep. I got to get up really early. But it was quite a spicy debate. Didn't Pence knock it out of the park?
He did. I was blown away by his performance, and more so, I was even more blown away by the fact of how badly Kamala Harris performed, with how easily provoked she was. That was what I noticed the most, was she was provoked so easily by Vice President Pence. It didn't take anything to get under her skin. And you would think as a former prosecutor, you'd be better at that. But I mean,
she
to
was
each their own.
super thin-skinned and super bad at what she does. Is this? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay,
Yes,
good.
we can hear you great.
Super thin-skinned, super bad at what she does. Like Kamala Harris, first of all, she in 2015 opposed body cams for police officers, and she's voted against freeing Black Americans. She voted against a lot of the lesser sentences because she makes more money the more people she puts in jail. When she was a prosecutor, that was her thing. She would put people in jail like that. She put more Black and brown people in jail than the Kardashians dated. She's a horrible prosecutor.
Isn't that the truth? Well,
she's awful. But I gotta say, I'm so excited to see you guys and support Laurel for Congress. Hi. Because I'll be out there very soon to see back in Colorado, back in Denver.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So as you know, obviously October 20th, we are having, for some of you viewers may not know, but we are having Joy and Sheriff Lamb out for really a blast on October 20th. Joy and I are going to sing.
So much fun. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to do some duets. I'm going to do a whole set as like background piano bar kind of stuff. And then we will also have Sheriff Lamb there. He'll be speaking. And then once he's on here in a little bit, he's just wrapping up a town hall meeting with his constituents. But once he is on here, we're going to really talk to him about his experience as a border county sheriff.
Wow.
But while I have you here, Joyce, so I know we don't have you long because you got an early morning and we definitely don't want to keep you. It's so great to see you.
So good to see you too. I love you guys.
Yes, we love
you
you too.
We love you too. We miss you. It's been a whole week.
It hasn't even been, it's been a week. It feels like it's been a month though.
I know.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Karaoke together. Yeah.
But while I have you, so I really want to ask you as an ethnic woman. I mean, you're Black, you're Native American, you are unhyphenated American as well.
That's right.
What do you say to the ethnics of America right now, and really the minorities of America, as a Hispanic and an African American, and as a Native American Indian woman? What do you say to them after watching Kamala Harris's performance? Because she as well is African American, as she claims, and as she is. But what do you say to them after watching this debate performance? How do you connect to them? How do you think that she failed them tonight?
That's a really good question. Well, she's Jamaican and Indian, so she's a woman of color. It's historic that she is going to run for VP, that she is running for VP. But just like in my op-ed, I said, just because she's historic, it's a historic thing. Just like it was historic that we elected Obama as the first Black president, that he'll always have that. But that doesn't excuse her, like it didn't excuse Obama, from their horrible track record. It doesn't excuse them from the responsibility to the American people. And I think whether you're Black, white, brown, yellow, it doesn't matter. She did a horrible job.
Exactly.
She's let us all down as Americans. And I mean, this was the debate that the American people needed to see, because Pence exposed Biden for his reliance on China.
Yep.
She even said people love the Chinese leader, more than they respect Trump. What does that mean? I'm like, excuse me, that's a thinly veiled support for the Chinese communist. It's not even thinly veiled. That's a very public support for the Chinese Communist Party. You're pledging allegiance to China, which we know Biden's in bed with China, You're pledging allegiance to China, Kamala Harris, over the support of the president. Now, I don't care who's president, like you saying, oh, and she has that nasal voice and she's like,
Oh,
she
she's
smirks.
painful to listen to. She's really
Somebody
painful to
smirks.
listen to.
And she sounds like she's about to cry. And that's the
Uh-huh.
thing, is people respect China over President Trump.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
people are going to hate
cry
what
me
I'm
a
about to say
river.
here. Yeah, well, I'm going to get some backlash for what I'm about to say, but I don't care. I
Say
welcome
it, Weston.
I welcome
Say
the
it.
hate. You know, she choked up so much, and from what I understand of Kamala Harris, she should be a pro at not having to choke. At this point. I mean, I'm sorry, but the amount of times that she choked up with her track record, I'm sitting here going,
She's supposed to be a high-powered prosecutor, right? And
Right.
so
And she lost
emotional
it.
all the time. It's fake. It's fake
It's
news.
because it's exactly. It's fake news. It's fake emotion, and she's smirking. And Megyn Kelly said, "Be a woman. Stop making faces." I
Yeah.
love that, because it's like, be a woman. I love that. That sums it up. It's like every time Pence spoke, and Pence was a perfect, classy gentleman, and he didn't interrupt her, and except for when she was lying straightforward, so much. So many lies came out of that woman's mouth. It was like not one bit of truth. When she actually answered a question, she lied. But the thing with her is that she has to fake emotion because she's so cold, but it comes off as like an android who studied humanity, or an alien who studied humanity for years.
Exactly.
It's like, smile on cue and make eye contact. But she made faces when Pence was talking, like,
exactly. Well, and
smarmy.
Yes, that's the word.
smarmy.
And,
Yeah, she's
I tuned in a little bit.
smarmy, and she has no facts on her side. She was a horrible prosecutor. I live in the state where she is senator, and she's totally disappointed the American people, the Californians under her. She's awful. She's not likable, and no one should have ran her for vice president. It's just that she has the right gender and the right color for today's politics on the Democratic side.
Exactly.
That's the only reason.
That's a
she's up
sad
there.
qualification to be the vice president of the United States.
Horrible.
know.
We should not. That's just
This
as
is not a
racist
job
as
at
running
McDonald's
somebody
where
who's
you
just
need
because
to
they're white.
Satisfy a quota. This is the vice president of the United States, and you should
That's
have
right.
more qualifications than the
That's
color
right.
of your skin and the gender.
That's
Exactly.
100%. And
Ridiculous.
Black Americans don't like her. They don't respect her. Biden actually had more support on his side, even though he's a horrible candidate, before he joined with her. And I know many Black Americans who are voting Democrat, and they continue to vote Democrat, but they go, you know what? When when Harris joined the Hayden ticket, whoa, Harris and Biden is Hayden. Oh my gosh.
Biden.
It's a couple name. It's one of
couple
those couple
name.
names. Yeah.
It's the hashtag Hayden, the Hayden ticket team.
Hiding for Biden.
Exactly. When she joined, they were like, oh no, not
Definitely.
Kamala.
Yeah.
George, we have a question from a viewer who wants to know where you're from specifically.
I am from Los Angeles, California. Actually, I was born in Orange County, California. I've lived in California for over 14 years, most of my life, but I also was raised in New York City. So I'm also a New Yorker. And next month I moved to Nashville, baby.
Love it.
I'll be a Southern girl, y'all.
Yeah. So really quick, I just want to put this in here a little bit. So we do have a call-in line available to our viewers. And that number, and I'll have my mom, you can type it out on the comments thread and I'll pin it. But by the way, for those of you that maybe are tuning in, not from our page, but are watching anyways, this is Laurel Imer. She's the Republican nominee for House District 24 in the state of Colorado. She is my mother. And we are great friends with this lovely Joy Villa. But that phone number for you guys to call into is 669-900-9128. So call in, you can join us, you can ask your questions, we can hear from you live. Tune into that number, give us a call. We'll be happy to have you on, answer your questions, whatever we can. But
One more time, Weston, please.
So that phone number one more time is 669-900-9128.
Thank you.
669-900-1128.
Oh, 9128.
9128.
9128. Don't listen to
I
me.
put it in the
Listen to him.
thread on the Facebook Live.
Don't listen to what I said.
Alrighty.
Unless you're a Democrat. No, just kidding. We want Democrats to call it.
Yes, we do. So what I also want to mention here is I loved how Kamala denied the facts of things that Biden and her have put forward as their platform. I want to start with fact checking a little bit of what she said. So the source here is Americans for Tax Reform. And it says right here, Joe Biden said that he would end fracking. We're gonna talk about how she claimed that Joe Biden said that he would never end fracking. Okay. Joe Biden said that he would end fracking during an exchange with a New Hampshire voter on Friday. Probably didn't know where he was at the time, but he was in New Hampshire. Voter says to Joe, but like, what about, say, stopping fracking? Joe Biden's response was, yes. Voter, and stopping pipeline infrastructure? Biden, yes. Folks, that is a direct quote from the former vice president of the United States claiming that he is going to stop fracking and pipeline infrastructure.
Wow.
And tonight on the debate, it took me 5 seconds to fact check her, folks. And on tonight's debate, Kamala Harris steps forward and says, he's not going to end fracking. He never said he was going to end fracking. Folks, how ridiculous is that?
They don't know, what the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing over there in the Biden, Harris administration. Remember when she said the Harris administration? Remember when she said that? It's telling. She is all about, I thought she was going to tell her story of the, I was that girl busing. I was that little girl. Like, she has such fake sentimentality, and it oozes off her as fake, just like Hillary. And it's really hard. I'm not being sexist here as a woman, but it is hard. I'm sure, Laurel, you understand too. Yes. When you're a woman on the forefront, like, people judge you a little more harshly, right? Because they're like, oh, either you're too sexy or you're not sexy enough, or you're too warm, you're not warm enough. So I try to put that aside and judge her as a candidate. But I got to say, most women have a special, I think, better one up over men, because we usually are more bigger personalities. We usually have more warmth. I feel like women have a special touch, a feminine quality that can sparkle when a man can be very dry sometimes. And I didn't see any of that, just like I don't see any of that in Hillary. But when I look to the right, I see a lot of female, like Kristi Noem, Governor Kristi Noem, right, as South or North Dakota. We see a lot of female, Ivanka Trump, a lot of conservative women, because they're mothers and they're accepting that, like, hey, I love America. They're comfortable with their femininity. But on the left, you see these hard-nosed, I'm a feminist, and they get very masculine. And I felt like she had no feminine qualities. And I'm like, she's not a mom. And I hate to attack her for that, because I'm not saying you have to be a mom, but I can't see her being America's vice president when she doesn't even seem to have humanity inside her. Exactly. Like, she doesn't have that human quality.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that because she doesn't have any warmth and real compassion, because like you said, she's kind of this hard shell. She's unapproachable, and then she comes off as not being real. And I think that myself and you and some of these other women that you talked about, we are comfortable in our skin, and we're not pretending to be someone else other than who we are and who God made us to be. So we don't have to pretend to be something else. We can just get out there positive and full of strength from God to be and to do and to complete the task that he created us to do.
Amen. Amen, sister. That's right. We're not reliant on, like, we have to have the shoulder pads and prove ourselves. And that's what I felt like. I mean, like you said, she lost her cool. She's supposed to be, this big prosecutor for years. She's a senator. Why can't you handle a debate, Senator? She seemed to be very in control when she was handling Joe Biden at the Democratic debates. She actually shone there, even though she still is the same swarmy, like, unapproachable, unlikable person. But amongst all those clowns, she did one up Biden quite well. I mean, she did. She called out his racism. But yet now she's joined his ticket. She said she had believed his accusers of sexual abuse. She called him out for his racist past, rightfully so. And yet now she's on board with the racist sex abuser. Like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense. So she's totally phony. She's totally fake. She's made a living trading favors and doing things that, would make not just your mama and your grandma blush, but like your daughter blush. Like, she's done horrible things, immoral things to get to where she is. And it shows. She's a lack of character and a lack of values and virtue. And, say what you want about Pence. If you don't agree with his policies, that man held his own up there. He was classy. He He didn't smirk at her. He stuck to the questions. He was dignified. He answered questions. Even when he got cut off, my Joy Tribe was watching the debate. We were doing that live debate watch party. And many times Pence only got 1 minute and 27 seconds. Many times she got over 2 minutes. 30 extra seconds towards that end. She says, I want to say something. He attacked my thing. And the freaking moderator let her talk for another 30 seconds. You don't get to answer just because you want to. It's the next subject. It was run so unfairly, although this moderator was much better than Chris Wallace, right? Yeah. Chris Wallace or Mike Wallace, both of them are trash, but Chris Wallace, still the moderator was weak. She let Kamala talk over her allowed time many times, not just 5 seconds, because Pence went 5 seconds over and then Kamala went 5 seconds over. Fine. Let them finish their sentence. I think that's fine. But she got, in many cases, 30 seconds more. And Pence was such a gentleman. He didn't cut in. I got to say, I do think, and I'm going to get some hate for this, Pence did better in this debate than Trump did in his first debate.
I agree. So I stand there with you, Joy, because I thoroughly enjoyed watching this debate. The president last time, and I'm going to chalk it up to, he was starting to experience symptoms from COVID-19. That's what I'm chalking it up to.
True.
He literally 48 hours later, he was diagnosed. So he must have been feeling the strain. And I'm going to chalk that up to that, because
he wasn't on his best.
He wasn't.
No, he was not on his game.
He was too testy, and he was really short on his trigger. He didn't have a long fuse. The president always has a long fuse. And we did not see that in his first debate. I think we're going to see it in his second. If Joe Biden can control himself. And I also think that part of the reason that the president did what he did in that first debate was to try and get Joe to break himself, to break
that was
his
the
cover,
tactic.
right?
Yeah.
But I think that if the president would have waited, Joe Biden would have hung himself. The president gave him enough rope to hang himself with, and Joe just needed a minute to say whatever he was going to say.
Absolutely. Because look what Pence did. Pence was quiet, even when she attacked him, and she was like, "Oh, I will not be lectured by the vice president. I will not sit here." Everyone's laughing at her, going, "But you just got lectured. You just got pwned. You just got completely owned by the vice president." And he's just like, he didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to make a face. He didn't have to retort to these childish games. And I do think, unfortunately, President Trump did go there. And if he would have just been quiet sometimes, he would have been able to let, like you said, Biden hang himself, because Biden's a blubbering idiot. Let him be a blubbering idiot. We're going to see a different Trump this next time around, which I'm doing exclusive debate watch party on my Facebook supporters, just for my Facebook supporters on my Facebook page.
That'll be fun. I think the most beautiful thing that the vice president did tonight was how kind and
gentlemanly,
complimentary he was to Kamala. He was, every time he addressed her, thank you, and he thanked her for different things that she had done. He really gave her an opportunity to then turn on her own self after he complimented her.
He granted her the respect that he wasn't getting. He was such a gentleman.
He respected the office too. He respected the office. And that's something that's been so forgotten about in this, in the past 4 years, is respecting the office of the president. It has been forgotten. And that's something we need to restore. But really quick, I want to throw in a couple more fact checks that I found. So, Kamala repeatedly said, "Oh, well, we're not going to raise taxes. We are going to cut the Trump tax cuts, but we're not going to cut taxes." Folks, cutting the Trump tax cuts does raise your taxes, because now you cost $2,000 extra a month on average for a family of 3. But here's Joe Biden's exact statement. Biden, quote, "By the way, how many of you did really well with that $1.9 trillion tax cut? Well, you did. Well, that's good. I'm glad to see you are doing well already, but guess what? If you elect me, your taxes are going to be raised, not cut, if you benefited from that." So if you benefited from the Trump tax cuts, you are going to be increased in tax by the Biden administration on the day he's elected.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. And then I've got one more here.
And they say they're going to raise $4 trillion in taxes. And I love what they do. They say only for the rich, but what they understand as rich is sometimes $50,000 a year, which is middle class. So like, what's rich? They'll say that only for the rich, because they say it's above the poverty line. So they use rich to mean the poverty line in her voice. She's got the nasal. Oh, I'm so, it's like I have PTSD after that. I don't want to hear her voice anymore.
Honestly.
I got to get going, guys. It's
Yeah.
been a blast.
Yes.
This has been so much fun. I cannot wait to see you guys.
So let's just really quick. We're going to talk again, October 20th. We're going to be with Joy and Sheriff Lamb, who will be joining us shortly. We're going to have a rockin' night. You're going to sing. Weston's going to sing. We're going to hang out together. It's a fundraiser for my campaign, and we're so thankful you're coming out to join us, and we can't wait.
I am so excited. Joy, make sure you get tickets. Where can they get tickets? Is it Laurel?
So tickets are available at laurelimer.com or on the Facebook page that you're on right now. If you go to our events tab, I think it's advertised in the upper right-hand side, if I did it right. And you just click that, click get tickets, takes you right there. All the proceeds go directly to our campaign. And we had a few ticket sales today. And we're making headway. So
good. Yeah. We want to pack the place, you guys. Come out and support this woman. She's running for Congress. She's endorsed, right? You're endorsed locally by the GOP. She's incredible. She's fighting Bikers for Trump, boots on the ground. Like, I endorse her publicly. Sheriff Lamb endorses her. Like, this woman is fighting in Colorado. She's pro-life, pro-God, pro-Trump. You got to vote for her. And I'm going to be there. So I want to meet you guys. We're going to have my books available as well. Might have to do some giveaways. It's going to be fun.
And remember, folks, if you get that VIP ticket or that sponsorship ticket, you get to come to a private VIP reception for an hour before the event. The first round of drinks is on the house, and you get a professional photo taken with Joy and the sheriff. It's going to be great, Joy. I think this is the first you're hearing about that, but
I didn't know, but I love it. And I'm going to be wearing my Trump dress. So you definitely want to get that picture.
Exactly.
You definitely want that picture.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, you guys, I love you. I
you,
will leave it and tell Sheriff Lamb I love him. I've met him before. He's an awesome guy, and I'll see you guys on October 20th.
October 20th.
October 20th. Alrighty. Thank you, Joy. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you, Joy.
All right, folks. So that was Joy Villa, our very special guest. So now what I want to do is I want to hear from you, the viewers. We have a few minutes here before Sheriff Lamb joins. He's finishing up a town hall meeting with his constituents. So what you can do now is call in. That phone number is on the bottom of your screen on Facebook Live. That phone number is 669-900-9128, and meeting ID is 995-3354. 3587. Join our call in, talk to us. We're happy to answer your questions. We want to hear your opinion on this debate tonight. We have a call in right now in the waiting room. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them in here. So give me just one moment here. Let's go ahead and admit these folks. We don't know who we're talking to. Hello there. Welcome to the Weston Imer Show. Who are we talking to?
This is Carissa.
Oh, hi, Carissa. How are you?
Carissa.
Good. How are you?
Doing good. So what do you want to talk about?
Oh, I just wanted to say hi to your friend that's on the show, Joy.
Yes. Yeah. She unfortunately just left, but she is still tuning in and she will see this video. So yes. Yeah. Say hello.
Hi.
Yeah. All righty. Did you have anything else, Carissa?
I just want to let you know I enjoyed the debate tonight. I thought Pence did really well.
He did. He really did. He blew me away. And I've heard from several people that have been reaching out to me. They're like, oh my gosh, I underestimated the vice president. He is just incredible. And it really was really cool to me to see that. So yeah.
We want to thank you too for everything you're doing for us. We really appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you, and go Laurel and vote for Laurel.
Yes. Thank you, Carissa.
Alrighty. Thank you, Carissa.
Did you get your shirt?
What's that?
Did you get your shirt?
No. Did you recently send it?
Well, I think Mariana and Antonio had one for you, so hopefully they'll get it to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you so much, Carissa. We appreciate you calling in. So Carissa's line is open, folks. So call in here to the show. Once again, that number is 669-900-9128, meeting ID 995-3354-3587. Call in now. We want to talk to you. We want to hear your opinion on this debate. We want to answer your questions. But now, really quick, I want to bring Mom back in here, obviously. I want to talk a little bit about Joe Biden's statements on ending fossil fuels. This is another thing that Kamala Harris disputed tonight, where she said that that Vice President Biden never said that he was going to end using fossil fuels. I'm reading an article right here saying Joe Biden recommits to ending fossil fuel subsidies after platform confusion. And what they're talking about with that platform confusion is the DNC came in during the Democrat National Convention and said, Joe Biden stands for fossil fuels. We aren't going to end it. And then the vice president got up and said, okay, we're going to end fossil fuels. So there was a lot of confusion, but he reconfirmed that his administration wants to end fossil fuels by, I think the date is 2024, not even that far away. Actually, it's even sooner than that.
2035.
2035. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure the actual number because I'm not seeing
Either
it in this
way,
article.
it's totally unrealistic. Do you understand? And then they were talking about were they talking about automobiles to electric automobiles, right? By
Yes.
2050. Okay, so this is just a point that some people may not understand. I don't care. It's your choice to buy whatever vehicle you want to buy. But the batteries in electric vehicles are toxic waste, and they're only disposable in one location in the United States of America. It costs every single car dealer in America who sells an electric car $300 per component of each of those batteries to send them to the recycling facility. So for instance, if a battery comes in and is bad, and that battery, they can say they can rebuild this battery, most likely made by Optima. Any piece of that battery that's bad that has to be sent back is $300 per piece, per component that has to be sent back to this recycling facility. And there's only one in the US. That's just a small cost to that. Then let's talk about the fact that all of these charging stations, do you have any idea how much it costs to build a charging station for electric cars? Here's an example. If you have a Porsche electric car, a charging station to charge 2 Porsches costs $2.3 million to build. Where does that money come from? And then do you know what powers the charging station? If you follow the electricity lines back, most of them are either powered by coal or diesel generators that are situated about a half a mile to a mile away from the charging station. So there's no honest, true way to get away with reducing or eliminating fossil fuels in America. It's absolutely unrealistic, and it would destroy the fabric of our economy. The job loss alone would be catastrophic. It would put us into a recession worse than anything we've ever seen before.
And you're exactly right with that. And Governor Polis here in Colorado has the same agenda with this, as he wants to force the entire Colorado fleet, including every government vehicle, every police vehicle, to electric in the next 5 years. Folks, that's crazy. The fact that you think that our economy can absorb that many electric vehicles when they barely have 8% of their quota met is ridiculous.
Right.
And
the cost of the infrastructure alone to build the charging stations is unrealistic.
Exactly. And that is on the dealer to build that. And that's something that not a lot of people know. It's not on the owner of the vehicle to do it. It's not on the manufacturer of the vehicle to do it. It's on the dealer, the dealership. So like here in Golden specifically, we have Stevenson Chevrolet. So if they are selling electric cars, they are required to build a charging station, which costs them a ton of money. As Mom just mentioned, it costs several $100,000 to build these. And now it's on the dealer's shoulders to pay for that, which now means that where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from you as the consumer. They now have to raise their prices. They now have to increase interest rates because they have to be able to pay for these electric charging stations that should have never happened in the first place. But really quick, I'm going to read off that call-in number one more time to you guys. That call-in number is 669-900-9128. ID number 995-3354-3587. So please join in, call in. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to talk to you guys. But before the sheriff joins us, Mom, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, a lot of people know because they've been listening, if they've been listening consistently to the show, who you are, and the fact that I'm running your campaign, and you're on the other side of this wall, but still, hello, hi.
Hi.
So, But tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about like what are your positions? What are your main issues if you win on November 3rd, which we are going to win on November 3rd, folks. But tell us about yourself. Tell us about your candidacy, and tell us about your support for this guy.
So I'm running for Colorado's House District 24 for the state legislature. My area would be Golden, Wheat Ridge, Fairmont, Mountain View, and Edgewater, with a little sliver of Arvada just tucked in there. And the best way to find if I am your candidate would be to go to Find My Legislator, Colorado. There's a website, and there you can enter your address, and it will pull up your specific location and tell you who your representative is. So if you were to pull that up and see that your representative is House District 24, then that's me. Okay. Currently, the seat is held by a Democrat. It's always been held by a Democrat. This is a very blue district. And so we are hoping to turn the tide of that. I am the Trump candidate for the state of Colorado. I worked feverishly in 2016 for the President of the United States as the Jefferson County chair of the Donald Trump campaign. I was also an elector for the 2016 presidential election. I was a 2020 elected Trump delegate for Congressional District 7, specifically selected by the presidential team for that position. And unfortunately, due to the China virus, I was not able to attend because that was a limited seating event then, and only 6 people from Colorado got to go. And so those were, of course, our top level Republican officials that were able to attend that. So I was very disappointed by that, but that's okay, because I still support the president and I know that he supports me. I also support wholly and completely Cory Gardner's re-election for Senate. He is absolutely the clear choice and the only one that we need to lead us as we move forward in Colorado. What he has done for Colorado in the last 18 months has just been phenomenal. No other senator has ever accomplished what he has accomplished for our state. So keep that in mind when you are voting. It's very important.
You know, and you just reminded me of something that I wanted to fact check Kamala on, was our Senator Cory Gardner, just recently passed bipartisan legislation that has been signed by the president now that covers people with pre-existing conditions, even if Obamacare is removed. It allows for pre-existing condition patients to still receive medical coverage and care.
True.
Providing that benefit of Obamacare that they are all saying is going to be gone if Trump is reelected. Folks, Cory Gardner just passed it. The president just signed it. And here's Kamala Harris out here lying to the American people, saying that they're going to lose pre-existing condition coverage if they reelect the president. They are playing politics so badly, and it hurts me to the core that they are doing this. And it just is, it's truly ridiculous. So I just received confirmation here in the last 2 seconds that our great candidate for Congressional District 7, Casper Stockham, will be joining us here on the show momentarily. And then we will be bringing in Sheriff Mark Lamb from Pinal County, Arizona, here pretty soon. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to jam to some tunes here. We'll jam to Joy Villa's Make America Great Again. Mom and I are going to shut off our cameras for a sec.
Really quick, Weston, before we go, I want to just, one of our guys had asked a question. Chris Ryman had asked, and he is true. I had heard that statement about Biden wanting to build 500,000 charging stations as well. I had heard that. So if we know that 2 stations for Porsche cost 2.3 million, let's just look at the cost of that. This is part of their new Green Deal, right? Okay, this is what this is going to cost the American taxpayer. And if you have not figured out yet their goal and their agenda for this country, ballots drop on Friday.
Definitely.
It's time to figure it out, and the choice could not be more clear.
Yep.
So we're going to go to break.
Well, actually, really quick, we're going to scrub the brakes. So Casper's here. I was going to give him time because he was wrapping up something else, but Casper is here. So let's bring in our Congressional District 7 Republican nominee, Casper Stockham. So Casper, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Weston Imer Show live on Facebook. How are you doing this evening?
Me?
Yes.
Hi, Casper.
I didn't hear the first part. I just heard, how are you doing? I didn't know who you're talking to.
Oh, yeah.
How are you? We're talking to you.
Talking to you. Hello.
I'm doing great. I had a drinking game going on during the debate, so I'm a little tipsy.
You're
were
good.
drinking too much milk? Was it that milk with Kahlua, that kind?
Yeah.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Well, really quick,
Yeah.
folks, I'm sorry to interrupt. So, Casper, I just received word. Pinal County, Arizona Sheriff Mark Lamb has joined us. So I'm going to bring him in here. So, Casper, you'll be on with Mark Lamb and us.
Sure.
So, Sheriff Lamb, how are you this evening?
Flip it. Turn it.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Sheriff Lamb, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. I know you were busy with a town hall meeting, and we really appreciate you coming to join us.
Well, I apologize for the delay, but I thought it was at 8:30, and I realized it was probably 8:30 your time. So I
You're
apologize.
good.
That's okay.
You're good. So before we get too much into it, I wanted to express to you that Joy Villa, she expressed her regards and said to say hello, and that she's sorry she couldn't be here. She has an early flight in the morning to an event, so she had to go. But welcome. So
Thank you.
with that, I want to start with you, Casper. Here, what was your reaction to the debate in general, and also what was your reaction to Kamala Harris of being a woman of color, and you yourself are a man of color, obviously. What
Don't
was
tell
your
anybody.
reaction?
Don't tell anybody.
Anyway,
It's our
anyways,
secret.
yeah. So what was your reaction to how she spoke to people of ethnic descent? I mean, what was your reaction to her performance?
Yeah. Well, she was continually lying, and Pence was trying to call her on it, but man, it's tough. A lot of things she said was just not true. And it was embarrassing to me, really. The fact that we have come to this point to where you can just blatantly lie about something, and even the moderator, in past debates, I've heard the moderator try to correct someone that's speaking from the stage or whatever, but this lady, she didn't call Kamala out on any of her lies. So
Yeah. Well, and that
It's
was the other thing
frustrating.
is the debate commission did put forward that no active fact checking would be happening. And
Yeah.
tonight, I would have loved to have seen some active
Right.
fact checking.
Yes.
She was lying every other word she had. And
Right.
it really frustrated me. I mean, I fact checked her a little bit while we had Joy on, and Mom
Yeah.
and I had just finished doing some fact checking. We found 4 lies in a matter of a minute.
Oh, exactly. And Pence
Crazy.
was getting frustrated because she was lying. So he was
Yeah.
trying to overcompensate for that. And that was actually a little annoying to me. I would have rather him just let her run with
Exactly.
that, and just be the polite gentleman that he is. I think it would have been better.
Yeah. Well, and he was extremely polite tonight. I really enjoyed how soft spoken the vice president was. It really was a good thing to see, because a lot of people were frustrated, obviously, with the president's performance.
Right.
We talked a little bit about that with Joy, was how we kind of wish the president would have taken more of a back seat in that debate. And I think we'll see that on the next one. But Sheriff Lamb, I don't know how much of the debate you caught as you were obviously with. Well, hey, then I'll skip that question.
I was in my own fiery storm as it was. I was in a town hall meeting, and it was a passionate one. So I missed the debate, unfortunately.
Oh, no worries. You're good. You're
Well,
good.
you probably know what was said.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, well, I know there's probably a ton of lies that I can probably.
Know that.
Yeah. Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. So with that, I saw something. I think it was on your page today, of a massive drug bust that your deputies. I don't know how much of a part you had in it. I'm sure you had a major part in it, but I'm not 100% sure on the story. What can you tell us about that drug bust you had in Pinal County this week?
Yeah, it was a big drug bust. And this is something I've been saying wherever I go to speak, is don't let the media cover up the fact that there is still a border security issue. Now, President Trump and his administration has done a phenomenal job of reducing that and helping us as much as he can, trying to get us equipment, overtime, building the wall, which is a key piece to it. But the drugs still come through. And here's what I tell people. And if anybody out there has got people that challenge them on this, border security has been a touchy subject for a few years now. But this is not a political thing. This is not about immigration anymore. This is about human trafficking and drug trafficking into this country. And if you care about human beings, you should absolutely care about border security, because the cartel is abusing people on a daily basis. They're raping the women. They're using the children as pawns. They're extorting the men. They're making them carry drugs. And so this is definitely something that we cannot let our politicians walk through this election without addressing. And unfortunately, that's been the case so far because the media won't talk about it. But yeah, just to show you, we had a real big drug bust last Thursday. It was 124 pounds of heroin, 104 pounds of methamphetamines, and 54,000 fentanyl pills, M30 fentanyl pills. Just to give you an idea how big this year has been for us, just Pinal County, just us. This doesn't even include the busts that we've had in conjunction with other departments. Just what my canines and guys have had. Last year, in 2018, I had 0 M30 fentanyl pills. In 2019, I had 677 M30 fentanyl pills. I am now this year at almost 280,000 fentanyl pills. So if you tell me that border security doesn't matter, you're kidding yourself. People are overdosing in our communities because of this fentanyl, and we're doing the best we can to stop it. So please, people, do not forget, border security is still a strong issue, and there's only President Trump is the president. It's going to help continue to support law enforcement, law and order, and border security, and that's what we need.
For sure.
And how is that coming in? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's a great question. I should have touched on that. You know, we see it come through the desert into our county because we're not right on the border. We're 60 miles off. But I have a spot where they come through an Indian reservation, and my county is the first county they get to. Now, where that bus was on the I-10 freeway. So they come through the checkpoints at the border because it's impossible for Border Patrol to stop every vehicle. This was a Ford Expedition, and it had drugs in every compartment, door, the roof, the sides. We were pulling them out of the front fender, 166 packages total. So a lot of our drug busts are coming on the freeways that make it through the checkpoints, and then they're traveling and trying to get these drugs to other parts of the country. I was just in Wisconsin this week, yesterday, and the day before, Monday and Tuesday, and they are just reeling from the methamphetamine that comes into their communities. And it comes through the borders of Arizona usually. 40 to 50% of all illegal drugs in the United States come through the borders of Arizona. So we got a lot of work to do. We're working hard to protect the communities across this country. And we thank you for the support.
Yeah. And Casper, you running for Congress. Sorry, I'm just sharing the live on a bunch of different stuff. You'll have to excuse me on my phone here. Casper, you running for Congress, you're going to have a big part in helping keep that border secure. If President Trump loses, God forbid he loses this election, you will have a big say in making sure that the wall is continued in construction. And what can you do as a congressman from Colorado, obviously, to help keep that border security fight strong?
Yeah, and that's why I asked the sheriff how it was coming in, because with the fence going up, I would imagine that less is coming in that way, but I'm sure they can still find a way to do it, but less. So if it's coming through the ports of entry, then we need to come up with better ways to detect it, whether that's better equipment or better training for the dogs. I don't know. We have to figure that out. But one thing for sure is we need to work with the local authorities and ask them, because they're the experts, they're the ones that are on the front lines. We don't want to rely on congressmen and women in DC to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
We want to talk to the men and women on the front lines and ask them, what do they need? And then we need to pass laws and policies that make sure they have all the tools they need to do their job the best.
For sure. And then obviously at the state and local levels, you also have a big reach with that. And that's where Mom comes in here in state legislature for Colorado, right. Is we can now push that legislation to secure Colorado's borders and make sure that these coyotes aren't coming up through our southern border here in Colorado from the Four Corners, from the Grand Canyon area, from New Mexico, from that I-25 corridor. I'm sure it's heavily trafficked. I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure that there is a lot of drugs that come flowing through Colorado. We've seen the overdoses in Denver. We've seen the initiatives on the ballot for those safe sites for needles that have luckily been shot down by conservatives and by common sense voters. But Sheriff Lamb, tell us a little bit more about your mission with the president. I know you work closely with the administration on an advisory council, if I'm correct. So tell us a little bit about your experience with the president's reaction to border security, obviously, because that's a big issue in 2016, and it still is in 2020.
You know, the president's been great. His support for sheriffs across this country and border security and law enforcement has been surpassed by none. He is extremely supportive. I, as a sheriff, I think I've been to the White House 9 or 10 times. I mean, that right there tells you his tremendous support. And that's what law enforcement needs right now. We've been put in a real difficult position. We're going to have a tough time recruiting. And we need a president like President Trump, who's continually standing behind us, supporting law enforcement. Because I'll tell you what, we'd have hemorrhaged people if we didn't have his support on a national level, because the support has faltered in a lot of places. And Casper's right. You know, there's so much more we need to do. The wall is a piece of it, but you've got technology, equipment, you got to be able to work with the local agencies, help fund some of those positions, some local agencies that can't afford it, small counties. That's what we've got to do to stop the problems in this country, the crime, the drugs. So much of crime is based on drug addiction in the first place, alcohol and drug addiction. If you can eliminate a lot of that, you're going to naturally reduce crime in your communities.
For sure. And really quick, I'm just talking to the person that is on the line here. We do have a call in. As some of you that are maybe just joining us, we do have a call in line available to you. I'll read that number off before we get to the phone lines here. That call in number is 669-900-9128. ID number 995-3354. 3587. If you join, we'll get you on. You can ask your question and talk a little bit about that with us. So with that, let's bring in this caller. I don't know who they are, so we'll find out all together. It'll be a surprise. Here we go. Hi there. Welcome to the Weston Imer Show. Who are we talking to? Hello. Anyone there? We could be having technical difficulties. Hello. Is anyone there?
Could be Hayden Biden.
Could be Hayden Biden. There you go. Yeah, Hayden calling from his basement with the poor cell signal.
Lion Kamala.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully they'll get their connection fixed and they can call us back because we are not able to hear them at the moment. But once again, I just want to reiterate how impressed I was with Vice President Pence's performance tonight. It was unsurmounted and unsurpassed. He did so well. He controlled the floor, even though we had a very biased moderator again, which in my opinion, we need to eliminate these press moderators. Yes. These moderators should be bipartisanly selected. And they honestly, what if they were members of Congress or judges or someone?
It should be unbiased. It should be a guy who takes a lunch pail to work is who it should be.
Yes.
Exactly.
Somebody out there who's a blue-collar person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let them ask the questions that we as Americans, the majority of us, want to know, not feed it down to where they have their talking points dialed in and they know what they're going to say in this position. That's what you really need. Pick some Joe off the street and let that guy come and moderate. He'll do a better job and we'll get good questions.
Yeah, I agree. And Sheriff, I have a question for you. Since I'm running locally in Colorado, when we met you last year in at your office, one of the things we talked about was the marijuana law and legalizing marijuana. And I will admit that I did vote for marijuana legalization. I'm transparent about that because at the time, I always tend to vote for things that I think are going to reduce crime. And so I voted on it for that basis. And I thought I had done a good thing. Okay. And then I watched what happened in Colorado, and now I'm not sure I did. And one of the things Kamala talked about tonight was legalizing marijuana as a whole, as the administration. From the federal level, legalizing marijuana. And I remember you telling me about legalizing marijuana, and what it actually did was gives the coyotes a legal avenue and the drug cartel a legal avenue for their marijuana. Can you talk about that? Because I think it's something that maybe people like me, I hadn't thought of that part of it. And I thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people think that the cartel's just going to say, oh, you legalize marijuana? Oh, I guess we won't sell that anymore. No, that's not what they're going to do. All we did was create an avenue for them to grow it and sell it here legally in this country. They have buffaloed their way into a lot of those markets where they've legalized marijuana. I don't know what percentage, but I've heard law enforcement officials say it could be anywhere between 70 and 80% of the legal market in the United States is still being controlled by the cartels. One of the major issues is because it's not illegal on a federal level, you cannot deposit money into banks. So this becomes a cash purchase thing, and fraud is it's very easy to happen in a cash purchase market like that. And it's also very attractive to the underbelly of society when you're dealing with that. So there's a lot of issues, and THC from 30 years ago is not what THC is now.
Right.
Like marijuana is very high in THC, and now they're stripping it down into the wax, the BHO, which is even higher in THC. It almost becomes a hallucinogen for this. So look, is it the end of the world if they legalize it? No, but it presents you guys have seen a lot of issues that have arisen from legalizing it in Colorado. It doesn't achieve what they think it's going to achieve. And I think it creates just an easier avenue for our children to get their hands on it and set them on a bad path down the road. So my 2 cents, that's just what I see from a law enforcement standpoint. And one big thing, last thing, DUIs or OWIs or whatever you call them in your state, driving under the influence of an alcohol or a drug. In my county, almost 70 to 80% of the drugs, the DUIs that we get now are DUI drugs, which means that it's marijuana, predominantly marijuana, some Xanax, maybe fentanyl or heroin. But the majority of it's marijuana, because people think that because it's legal, they can now drive with it in their system. No, it's just like alcohol. You may be able to drink alcohol. That doesn't mean you can drink it and go and drive. And that's the same with drugs. And so we're going to have a real learning curve there. I think the accidents will increase in any state where they do it. We've seen in Colorado, homelessness has increased, and it puts a lot of strain on the jails and the sheriffs across this country where they have legalized marijuana. So those are some of the issues that you're going to deal with there.
Well, and then our governor just pardoned how many people, Casper? Like 2,000 something
thousands.
people with marijuana convictions. He just pardoned them last week.
Yeah.
Love
So
that.
Sheriff, I have a follow-up question on that if I may. So I also voted for 64 several years ago, Laura, so you're not by yourself on that.
Well, good. I don't feel so bad.
No. And I voted for it because I wanted to see less people go to jail for possession of it, than in the past. But if there was a law that made it a class, I think it's class 3 drug, then it could be, then these organizations could bank. If they're banking, wouldn't we be able to keep tabs on them better if they were banking as opposed to an all cash business right now?
Because then couldn't it be regulated by alcohol, like alcohol, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's one of the advantages if you're going to legalize it nationally, it allows for that to happen.
Right. So that's what I'd be pushing for at this point. I'd be pushing for it to be, and again, I know, it's a gateway kind of drug and all that stuff, but if we're going to have it legal, it needs to be set up so we can bank through that, make it legal to bank, because if you don't, it's going to drive it to all cash business like it's doing right now. I mean, they're already doing it right now. So we need to set it up so they can bank, so we can keep tabs on it and tax it better.
Yeah.
Right.
And also,
Right.
I want to mention this. I think in Colorado, we did allow it to be banked so that we would receive tax revenue. And that was part of the reason that I think we voted for it at the time was, and I obviously didn't because I'm 16, but our family voted for it because it said that the tax revenue would then go to funding our schools and our roads.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly.
So,
but yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah. So
Right.
it's the parts of it are taxable and parts of it aren't. So the sale, I believe, is taxable. Well, it's very confusing because they have employees that they pay taxes on, but a a lot of the money that they make, the revenue is not taxed the way that we need for it to be taxed, so we can track,
Yeah.
so we can track it better. So it's not
Definitely.
it's not quite the way it needs to be.
Yeah. Well, and the point to my statement there was that where did that tax revenue go? In Colorado, we have not seen it, and
Yeah.
it just disappeared. It's
It went to the
disappearing.
general fund.
Exactly. It went to the general fund, which didn't get allocated, right?
Yeah.
So, but with that, I kind of want to change subjects a little bit. So, Casper, you will be speaking, obviously, and Sheriff Lamb, you'll be speaking on the 20th at our event here in Colorado. So, Sheriff, give us like a little bit of a sneak preview if I don't know if you've thought about it yet, but if you have, of what are you going to talk to our attendees about on the 20th?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I don't prepare hardly any of my speeches. I like to get to the venue, get a feel for the crowd, and really kind of understand. But I do predominantly talk about border security issues. I think that's something people should know about and get a real firsthand look at it. Because like Casper said, he's going into Congress. You would believe I've extended the invitation to all congressmen and senators, come out, see the border firsthand. Because I think if you're going to vote on a bill, then you should understand that situation.
Agreed.
Zero. I have had yet to have a Democrat show up to do the tour, and I would give the tour
never would have
all
guessed.
day long.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had several Republican congressmen, but definitely not all of them. And I'm not saying that all of them need to, but I just think that anytime you're going to vote, you should educate yourself. So I'm going to talk about border security. I'm going to talk a little bit about sex trafficking. I'm going to talk about my love for this country and the freedom and Constitution and where I think we're at, and some of the alarms that are going off in my head as a constitutionalist, and then talk about the police, where we're at in the current events, current affairs as it relates to police. This bogus narrative of it is a false narrative of police bias, and touch on that a little bit, and touch on the funding versus defunding. And so we'll get into a lot of those things.
Yeah, for sure. And
I
want to thank you again for coming out.
We'll tick off everybody that night.
It'll be perfect.
Sure. Yeah, and we will have security on site for those of you that might be a little concerned about the Antifa and the BLM stuff. As the sheriff just mentioned, we're going to talk about that current state of policing. Really, is we will have armed security, and when I say armed, I mean heavily armed. I can't tell you much because we're kind of keeping it on the down low because they're doing it for us for free. But we are going to have people there that are armed to the teeth. They are trained by a former Navy SEAL. You can kind of let your mind wander as to who that might be. But they are sending us a security team pro bono, and we will be armed. We will be protected. And obviously, I know the sheriff will probably be packing as well as Casper. So we'll be covered. But I want to thank you, Sheriff Lamb, for coming in. And did you have any final thoughts for us before I let you go? I know you're super busy.
No, I apologize. I'm late, but my final thoughts are, I don't know how many people are listening. This is the greatest country in the world. It still is. For whatever our faults are, we live in the most beautiful country. We have been blessed with the Constitution, which has God's stamp of approval on it. And we need to make sure that we are not bullied into silence, that we need to stand up, have the courage to stand up for your values and your beliefs. We need it now more than ever here in America. And this is what's going to carry us through this election. So.
For sure. And before we let the sheriff go, if any of you do have questions, feel free to comment them on the Facebook live stream or call into that number at the bottom of your screen. We would love to have you on. And Sheriff, if you need to go, we'll let you go. If you want to stick around, feel free.
I do. I got to still drive home. I just finished this event. I'm about 40 minutes from my house. So
definitely.
I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we thank you. We're so excited to have you. We can't wait to see you.
Yep.
Thanks for having
Thank you for
me.
your service. Thank you for your
Thank
service.
you.
Nice
Appreciate
meeting you, Casper.
Yep.
Alrighty, folks, as the sheriff heads out here. So I want to thank our viewers that are here. So we're still joined here by Casper Stockham, Republican nominee for CD7, and Laurel Imer, Republican nominee for House District 24 in the state of Colorado. If you guys have questions for the candidates or questions just about the debate or want to share your thoughts about the debate, please call in at 669-900-9128. And then the ID number is 995-3354-3588. 887. That is on the bottom of your screen. Please join us now so we can get you on the show. So with that, Casper, really, you watched the debate, and you mentioned you were participating in a drinking game.
Yeah.
What were some of the key words that you guys were listening for in that game of yours? I'm just curious because you mentioned you were a little tipsy. If you were playing the drinking game with Joe Biden, you would have been hammered. So, what were some of those key words you were playing along to?
Yeah, I was just being funny and stuff. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't, but
so Casper over here.
yeah. I did watch the debate though, you know, and I was also following the comments on Facebook, and it's interesting because everybody on the Republican side said, you know, Pence was phenomenal, and everybody on the Democrat side said Kamala was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So we have some real division and challenges happening in our nation right now. And I don't see a lot of adults speaking up about things. So there were a lot of lies going on, and I got tired of tracking the lies that were being said.
Yeah.
But then I'm trying to look at it objectively, you know, and I'm trying to make sure it's not just me, just because I'm Republican, because I like what Pence is saying. I wanted to see if he was actually telling the truth or not. And I didn't really hear anything that he said was a lie. I mean, everything he said was exactly how it was. And a lot of what Kamala said was not true. It just flat out was not true. Like she was talking about the statements about Trump talking about the troops. And it's bizarre to hear Democrats trying to defend our military because they are not defenders of our military ever. Yeah. Right. But when it comes to a debate, all of a sudden now, you know, they're going to defend our military because President Trump is some guy that doesn't respect the military. And I was telling somebody earlier today, President Trump will stop his motorcade if he sees a bunch of military lined up on the side of the road and get out and shake all their hand just because, oh my God, there's military there, stop, right?
Exactly.
You know, he'll see a line of police at the airport when he flies in, and he'll shake every police person's hand on the row. So that's not somebody that doesn't have respect for our military and for the people who serve us.
Exactly. And I'm going to piggyback off what you just said there. So Mom and I, and I think you were there as well, if I remember right, had the honor and privilege of attending the Air Force Academy graduation in 2018.
Right.
And the president obviously was giving the commencement speech that day. They rotate every year. It's a different person. And it was the president's year to attend. And we sat there and watched President Trump, and I'm trying to remember the number. If any of you remember the number,
900 plus cadets.
I think it was 1,101 or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was. That. I think it was
a lot.
Yeah, 999 or whatever. So it was a really astronomical number. Right. The president concluded his speech. Mind you, this is in 90-degree heat in the blazing sun in Falcon Stadium.
Right.
He is dying in the suit. I remember hearing him talk about it. He said he was baking. He felt like a cake in the oven. He was baking in his suit, and he stood there and shook every cadet's hand, shook their hand, saluted them, and commissioned them into the United States Air Force.
Right.
That is a man who loves our military. That is not a man who called them stupid bastards like Joe Biden did. That is not a man that, as he's been accused of calling them losers and suckers. I'm sorry, but the president didn't say that. You've seen so many people come out and say he didn't. Right. But you've got Joe Biden on one side saying, clap for that, you stupid bastards. And you've got President Trump, who has a proven track record of supporting our military and supporting our police. How do you compare to that? How does Joe Biden even argue with those facts? It's crazy.
No, you're right. And I was there as well. And you guys were there at the Air Force Academy. When I tell the story, you know, I talk about the fact that he shook all of their hands. Mm-hmm. There was two generals on the left, and there was a secretary of the Air Force and a general on the right. And they only shook half of the cadets' hands.
Right.
He was in the middle. He shook, and he saluted and shook, left and right, back and forth. I fell asleep. I woke up. He was still shaking hands. I was like,
Hey,
this guy.
I know how you feel. We were exhausted too. Fun story about that. So
Yes.
after that, we went to lunch because we were starving. We were so hungry and we were so tired. And we're like, okay, we're gonna go eat. And so we drove over to our favorite restaurant in the Springs, the Airplane Restaurant. Free shout out. If you're ever down there, go to the Airplane Restaurant. It's so good. So we had forgotten our sunglasses at this, which was the worst idea we possibly could have had, was not bring sunglasses. And so our eyes were just so sore from the squinting and the staring and the like long distance and all that. It was terrible. Okay. So we pull into the Airplane Restaurant's parking lot. We barely could see. We were like about to fall asleep on the way to the restaurant. We pull into the parking lot. We pull into the parking space and we shut the car off. And we felt, oh no, we didn't even shut the car off. The car was still running. We left the car running. We literally passed out in the front seat of the car. We woke up an hour and a half later in front of the Airplane Restaurant. People were staring at us and like, what are they doing? They're just sleeping in their car in the parking lot. And we woke up and we're like, oh, good grief. And we went in and ate lunch. But I mean, that's how exhausted we were. And we weren't shaking hands and saluting. We were attending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We did have to use Visine though, because our eyes were, burning. So we had to use some Visine before we could go in to eat, or we would have looked like we were druggies.
Yeah, or zombies or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally the Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, Look
Yeah.
at those Trump supporters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're wearing Trump stuff. They're about to fall asleep. They look like they crawled out of a gutter. Yeah. Hey, it sounded like Kamala Harris right there. So with that, I want to go around and give some closing remarks to you all. We've been live here for a little while and really want to wrap this up, obviously. So first off, before we get into our closing statements, we do have that event on October 20th in Evergreen at the barn at Evergreen Memorial Park. Tickets are required and they are not free. They're not free tickets. So get your tickets today. They're available on our Facebook page, Laurel Imer for Colorado. They should be popping up if you're viewing on a desktop. The event should pop up in the comments section. If I did it right, make sure you get your tickets. Ticket sales in on the 15th. So get your tickets before the 15th. Casper will be there. Sheriff Lamb will be there. Joy Villa will be there. And hopefully Senator Gardner, if he's not tied up in congressional hearing or in senatorial hearings for obviously the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett, he has said that he's going to do his best to be there. So make sure you get your tickets today. With that, we'll go to Mom here first. So Mom, what are your final thoughts on the debate and really your final thought on the President and Vice President Pence's performance in both the debates?
I think I just reiterate what everybody said. So I think it was a clear difference between the demeanor of Vice President Pence and Kamala Harris. They are polar opposites on their belief system and their tone. And I know that people don't like President Trump's tone, but that's what makes the relationship with Trump and Pence work so beautifully, is because we have the brass New York president, and then we have the calm, cool, collected Pence, and they just work together. They're like, I don't know, like an Oreo, right? They just meld together. They're just perfect together. And so I think that Vice President Pence did a fantastic job. I think I loved how complimentary he was to Kamala every time he got the microphone. He was never rude. He was not short-tempered with her. And I think it really just brought to light the difference between him and her and highlighted how he compliments the president and how there's a balance there. And then moving forward, yes, I want everybody to come and join us on the 20th. It's going to be a fantastic event. I want to be completely transparent about why we're doing this. This is for our final media buy before the election, so that we can absolutely control and dominate every piece of social media in our area. This is what this is for. So help me make that happen. Please come. It's going to be a fantastic night. As you saw, Joy is as real as can be, and so is Sheriff Lamb. They are real, genuine people. They're going to spend time with you. They're going to talk with you. This is not going to be an us versus them event from a distance. This is going to be everybody together having fun.
Yep. And folks, I'm going to piggyback on that really quick. Some people you'll like see the ticket selection, right? On the ticket link, there's general admission and VIP. Okay. VIP, you get a hour-long private reception with the two of them with a professional photo taken with each of them, right? So that's what you get as a VIP, and you get that first round in the house and that stuff, okay? But as general admission, you will still get to meet the sheriff and Joy Villa. You will still get to meet them. You'll get to shake their hand. You'll get to talk to them. You'll maybe even get to get the picture with them. I don't know what their protocols will be with COVID. I know they've agreed to that 1 hour, but you'll be able to meet them. You'll be able to say hello and all that stuff. You aren't going to be separated by a barricade where, unless you're a VIP, you don't get to see these guests, right? We are opening our doors to you. They are opening themselves up to you, and we really want to see you guys there. So with that, Casper, final thoughts on the debate, and anything else you'd like to mention?
Yeah. So thank you for the time, Weston. I appreciate it. And, you know, the debate, at the end of the day, we still have a 50-50 split on ideas and concepts. There are people, like I said earlier, that believe Kamala won, and there are people that believe Pence won. I believe that Kamala lied a lot, and I believe that Pence, I didn't detect any lies that he told. So, that's kind of where I fall on that. I think that this election is critical. I think Laura's win is critical. My win is critical to save our state. And we need everyone to not just show up on the 20th, but to show up on the 3rd of November.
Vote.
Because we need an overwhelming numbers to counteract what they're going to do on the 4th. And the only way we do that is if everyone shows up. I don't care, that I was telling a group of people just the other day that there is no one that's listening to our voice or that we've been meeting that doesn't have a role to play in this election. So they can do something. They can like and share our Facebook posts. They can pray for us. They can, of course, send us money. They can make calls.
Send money.
Send money. Yeah. Did I say send money? Send money.
I feel like you broke up, Casper. Send money.
Send money. Exactly.
I want to make sure everyone heard it.
I mean, the list goes on and on. So there's no one, I don't care what your age is. I don't care what your sex is. It doesn't matter. There's something you can do this cycle to make sure that we save our nation. And so everyone should be involved. They really should be involved. So
exactly.
I'm making that making that request that everyone just get involved this time to help us win.
For sure. And Casper, I want to thank you for coming on. I know you had a busy evening, and I want to thank you for joining us here on the show. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Weston Imer Show. If you want to watch the entire thing uninterrupted, see everybody's comments, including Joy, the sheriff, everyone, that it will be available tomorrow, maybe even tonight. I'm going to see how long it's going to take to upload, but you're going to be able to hear everyone's reaction, everyone's comments on anchor.fm/the Weston Imer Show. I will be posting the link on everything. It'll be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere you get your podcast. You'll be able to hear this. It'll also be on the Facebook feed, as well as Instagram and different things. So with that, we will be back next week with more coverage. I think, as a matter of fact, I think the next debate is on a Thursday, so we will come to you again live. This was a little bit of an early episode, but we'll come to you again with debate reaction from presidential debate number 2 on the 15th, and hopefully we will see you all there. So with that, we're going to crank Make America Great Again here, and we will see you all very, very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Seems like we lost our way. Where did we go astray? The lies that we've been told have put our dreams on hold. And if we don't watch out, we could all go under and drown. Yeah, the future depends on us. So we gotta wake up, gotta shake it up now. And let's make America great again. you know if we don't watch out, we could all go